The Final Testament defeated the Wyatt Six on last night's episode of Monday Night Raw, and a lot of fans are absolutely fuming about it, but honestly, I think it's the right decision. Welcome to Allison Analysis. I'm Ben Allison, and I've analysed last night's episode of Monday Night Raw, and here are my 5 key findings. In at number 5, the New Day heel turn has been executed perfectly. Woods and Kofi could not believe it when they got to the arena last night. They were walking through, everybody was either not talking to them, ignoring to them, or just saying to them, hey, I hate what you did the other day. Cody Rhodes told them they should be ashamed of themselves, and Kofi and Woods just could not understand it. And then they went out to the ring, and the fans, well, the boos were insane. They had, and I'm not exaggerating here, the reaction of the night. The boos were deafening, and they couldn't understand it. And they were saying on the mic, hey, we didn't hurt him, we didn't attack him, we didn't take him out, we just said it to him nicely. And this proves exactly what I said last week. This did not need an attack. This was effective enough without the attack, right? If there was a big moment last week, a big moment of shock, I actually don't think it would have been quite as effective. Because one of the beautiful things about the turn last week was the fact that we, it wasn't like a moment. It was like a feeling for the entire segment where just everything felt sad. And that walk Big E did when he went back, it was just so sad. And clearly by this reaction that we saw this week, it worked. And based on last night, well, it's been executed perfectly. And I cannot wait to see what happens next. And in at number 4, Dakota Kai now has to be favourite in the Women's Intercontinental Championship tournament. Just a week after advancing to the next round of the tournament, Dakota Kai took on the World Women's Champion Liv Morgan this week on Raw, and while Liv did get the victory, it was anything but clean. The way she lost with the involvement of Pure Fusion Collective meant that WWE clearly wanted to protect her, but why? And why was it specifically Dakota Kai facing Liv Morgan instead of Kairi Sane? Well, I think I know why, and I think that reason is that Dakota Kai is going to be the inaugural Women's Intercontinental Champion. It makes sense. They want to get her on TV more, they want to be putting her in these marquee matches, but they still want to protect her. Now, of course, the big possible issue, which is the only bit of doubt in my mind, is the fact that PFC are, of course, feuding with Dakota Kai right now, so they're surely going to try and screw her, but perhaps they'll be unsuccessful. Potentially, that will be Dakota's first feud as Intercontinental Champion. But Dakota Kai, I think, has been underrated for so long now, so if this is the direction they go in, I will be delighted. In at number 3, Liv Morgan is defeating Io Sky to retain her World Championship. After Liv Morgan defeated Dakota Kai on this week's episode of Raw, Damage Control were then taken out by the Judgment Day, and Liv Morgan stood tall holding that World Championship ahead of their championship match this Saturday. And that made me think, hang on here, maybe there's a chance Io Sky could win it, because after all, we know the historic thing in wrestling. Whoever is standing tall with the title before the PLE or the special, whatever you want to call it, usually does not walk out the winner at the event. However, later on in the night, my hopes were crushed as Io Sky and Rhea Ripley, after Rhea Ripley's banger against Raquel Rodriguez, took out the world champion Liv Morgan, meaning that the show ended with Io Sky standing tall. And therefore, based on the go-home show logic, Io Sky is not winning at the PLE. However, what made it even more obvious was Io Sky was not holding that World Championship alone. Rhea Ripley was holding it with her, making it clear that Rhea Ripley's motive is to not take out, well, just take out Liv Morgan, but more specifically to get that World Women's Championship back. Therefore, I think it's clear we're going to see Liv versus Rhea at the Royal Rumble, which means Io Sky is going to lose. Before we go any further, if you guys could like and subscribe, I would massively appreciate it. Here at Wrestling Republic, we create between 5 to 10 free videos every single week, and in addition to that, we are live 7 days a week, 8 p.m. UK, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, all for free. You guys can comment along throughout everything. All of it's free, not behind a paywall. All we ask is that you guys like and subscribe. We seriously do appreciate it, and leave a comment if you can as well. Thank you. And in at number 2, Damian Priest has saved Saturday night's main event World Championship match. The promo segment on Raw between Gunther and Finn Balor was a complete and utter mess. Why? Well, not actually because the promos were bad, but just because the crowd had no idea who to cheer for. They were cheering one of them, then booing the same guy. They just had no idea. It was heel versus heel, and this resulted in the crowd just being silent at times. Heel versus heel storylines very rarely work in pro wrestling, but this one, well, it was obvious it was not going to work. And therefore, adding Damian Priest, well, now the crowd at Saturday night's main event will have someone to cheer. It will be obvious who to cheer, and therefore, well, I think he saved the match. Now, of course, in terms of kayfabe, you can question what on earth Damian Priest has done to deserve this championship match, considering he just lost. But I guess you can say the same for Finn Balor as well, because he's not won any major singles matches lately, really, so that doesn't make too much sense either. Listen, the booking's a little bit all over the place, but the match itself this Saturday I'm looking forward to, and I do think it's going to be a banger. And in at number 1, the Wyatt 6 lost to the Final Testament, and honestly, I think it was the right decision. First things first, the Wyatt 6 can take a loss. They don't need to be protected and win every single match. In fact, I think that will hurt the faction long term if they are booked like that, because it kind of just backs you in a corner when you're writing the storylines for them. Secondly, it wasn't clean. The finish protected the Wyatts, while also making Paul Ellering look smart, look useful for the first time as part of Final Testament, because the rest of the time he's just been standing there. At least now he's done something. And thirdly, while heading into this feud, I said it was going to be the final opportunity for the Final Testament to work as a faction. I said if they didn't get over in this feud, well, they might as well scrap the entire thing because it's clearly not working. But it's worked. The Final Testament are more over than they've been so far as a faction. The promo segments have been amazing. Karrion Kross's social media work has been exceptional. I mean, it's just working. It's finally clicking, and this storyline has been so good. And this win, well, they deserve. And now they are a legitimate threat on the main roster. Now, don't get me wrong, this feud is not going to end. The Wyatts are going to come back for them, and it'll probably be a no DQ, a street fight type of thing, and no doubt the Wyatt 6 will end up winning the feud. But the Final Testament won a big battle, and that big battle will be remembered, and now legitimizes them as a threat on the main roster. But overall, I really enjoyed last night's episode of Raw. It flew by. The Punk and Rollins stuff we didn't even get to talk about, but that was really, really good. Raquel and Rhea put on a banger in the main event. The Women's Intercontinental Championship tournament continued as well. It was just a really fun episode. Easy to watch. Again, the only negative was that opening promo, but apart from that, I thought it was a banger of a show. But that's it from me. I will be back on Thursday to talk about AEW Dynamite, so I hope to see you guys then. Peace!